Engel, District Attorney in and for the 12th Judicial District, State of Colorado, by and through her assistant, District Attorney Patrice S. Engel, respectfully moves the court to grant people's motion to dismiss defendant's motion to recuse, and in support of states. And then we're going to have like a whole bunch of 33 points. 33 points here. So if what's good for the goose is good for the gander. If I turned in 5 criminal complaints, felony complaints, and they didn't write a single page, didn't do a single thing, but they're going to sit there and write 33 bullet points to say, no, he's the regular good judge and he must be the good judge. Is that the DA's point? The DA isn't there to protect the people, but to protect the judges? We got to protect the judges! The DA could just come in and tell everybody what's up. And a lot of law here we're just going to skip right on over. A lot of law. The last court appearance that I just had, they're going to let David DeLotta go. They're going to let David DeLotta go. And why? Because the public pretender was able to negotiate some sort of deal. She couldn't disprove beyond a reasonable doubt that it wasn't self-defense. But we're going to spend all the fucking time in the world to disprove beyond a reasonable doubt that it wasn't self-defense, that John Masters fired 3 warning shots. But the DeLotta case, he shot and murdered a man, and that man is dead. That man is no more. And that man had a family. He didn't even give a damn trial. He didn't even get a damn trial. So this has nothing to do with me being any kind of anything. They're still pissed off that I'm 6'1" and that I'm polite, nice, respectable, and I got a gate. He's got a gate. They would rather fuck over somebody who slightly disrespected them or slightly criticized them than a fucking goddamn... You had another guy, Hunter. There's this, not Hunter, something else, Thunder. You had this one man, Thunder. He goes and saves his woman. His woman is trapped up in the hills by some fucking pervert. And the pervert's not letting her leave. So Thunder goes and saves his woman. And I hope that they have a long and prosperous relationship. But he had to go before the judge and say he was guilty of what? Being a good man? Of doing a police action when the time came for it? If he would have wasted his time, anything could have happened, right? He could have gone in and it might not have gone the way he wanted it to have gone. But he got his woman and he got the hell out of Dodge. He was successful. The cops could have went in there and fucked the whole thing up. He was a hero. He stood up and did what was right. You also had that Johnny Hurley. You had an active gunman shooting up the neighborhood, and Johnny Hurley saved the neighborhood by shooting the active gunman. And then the cops are going to kill Johnny Hurley. Thin blue line, right? Thin blue line. You fascist fucking pieces of shit. You don't give a shit. What the fuck? Your brother in fucking uniform, what crime he just committed, right? Well, he committed a crime. Is that a good American? Why don't you be a good American? Just because he's wearing the same uniform and we're like on the same team or something? I want the police officers that are actually dedicated to protecting and serving. Not just the cops that are just sitting around lazy doing not jack shit all goddamn day long. Just so that they can harass somebody that's rude to them. There's real criminals out here fucking hurting people, you fucking pieces of shit. Why don't you stop the criminals who are going around criminalizing people? Oh my gosh, that's a lawful person. You know what's going on in Mexico? I was just going to read this and I'll come back to... I will actually read this. You know what's going on in Mexico? And on down? Is you got the drug dealers who are taking over. So that's going to spill over to America. You think right now, you have a problem, you call the police and there's a court system or whatever. It's going to be the Cineola and it's going to be the Three Kings. It's going to be gangland. Because that's what's happening in Mexico. The Mexican people are going to the government. They're going to the police and the judges and the courts. And they're not doing anything. Or they're afraid. They're scared of the terrorists. They're scared of the drug dealing cartels. And so the cops and the court system and the judges and the clerks, none of them do shit for the victims. So if you live around there, either A, you move to America, or B, you acknowledge the Three Kings it's not Mexico anymore. This is the land of the Three Kings. Or MS-13 or, Hell's Angels or whoever. Confederate Nazis. I think we need to start talking about gangs because that's what is going to happen around here. Do you want that to happen around here? You want the drug dealers to be the motherfuckers that's in charge? Well, they are the drug dealers. Did they do anything for us? No, they just terrorize us and they rob us. But they're the only ones doing anything. The only ones making an appearance, can go here, can go there. And the cops and the judges and the clerks, the democracy, the politicians, they're too weak and afraid to stop the gangs. We need good people. And we need good people, not just good cops and good government, but we need good people. So that way when gangs come around, we know that good people are fighting them off, and we need to give those people all the support in the world. The affidavit for a warrantless arrest was filed September 20th, 2021. In the above captioned case, on September 21, 2021, the defendant appeared on an appearance bond. The complainant information in this case with one count of felony menacing F5 CRS 183206 was filed October 1st, 2021. On October 5th, 2021, defendant appeared for filing of charges. Filing of charges. The above captioned case was bound over to district court on October 26, 2021. So all that sounds all fancy schmancy or what have you. All that's internal information. So I've filed for a motion to have access to the e-system. I don't even get an account. I haven't even seen the evidence against me. I need to... Ann Kelly's office, they have like 5 gigabytes worth of video. Like 5 gigabytes worth of video that they were supposed to give me months ago. I drove all the way up there to get it, and I still wasn't able to get it. So I'm going to have to give them a call, and who knows if I'm ever going to get that discovery. The only reason DeLotta was able to get a fair shake from the public pretender was because the public pretender used my process. He probably had a preliminary hearing and a, pre-trial readiness conference, dispositional hearing. He probably had all the hearings that I had, an emotions hearing. And then you have a John Masters that's out there, and the reason why I talked about the case was because thou shalt not murder. That was my only point. Thou shalt not murder. And then you want people to look at the case, and they deprived us of a goddamn jury trial yet once again. Somebody shot warning shots. Anne Frank shot warning shots, so we're going to fuck over Anne Frank as best as we can. Why? Because we're all a bunch of sweethearts, and Anne Frank is taking all of our light away from us. I guess DeLotta played their game, right? Shot somebody, called them up, and then went to court, went to jail, did time served, and just walked away free and clear. That just happened 6 months ago. My thing happened a year and a half ago. Shoot 3 warning shots a year and a half ago. They act like that's worse. So DeLotta, they went ahead and got a misdemeanor on him, and it wasn't mandatory minimum, it was a mandatory maximum, 120 days, so time served. He already had 6 months in. 120 days is 4 months, so he actually did 2 months over the time. So great victory, for the defense, for the public pretender, for that guy with long blonde hair, that asshole. But I remember when I went up to that asshole, he pretended like he didn't see me or never talked to me or never knew anything. And then said, oh, yeah, just fill the thing out in the thing, yeah, and you were going to do a good fucking job, right? Fucking prick. Motherfucker acts like he's fucking better than everybody and anybody. Couldn't say hello to save, to save a frog. You got any goddamn manners? You got any? But I'm the accused, right? So I might be flushed down forever, or he can't risk actually, I don't know what the hell. Because if I'm in there, then nobody's out talking about the thing, I still get fucked over. Even if I did all the same thing that... It looked like it was self-defense, but why? There's a dead body. You do a jury trial. When there's a dead body, when somebody murders somebody else, do you think thou should not murder too? I think thou should not murder. Anybody else in the Republic? I wanted regular citizens to look at this case. Not people behind closed doors and then re-elected the DA for victims' rights. They're going to say that their hands were tied. We have to fuck over a person who fires 3 warnings. We have to fuck over Anne Frank. We got to fuck over Anne Frank. We have to. But what about all the Nazis that was committing all the crimes around her? Let them off. Let them out of here. Get them, in Ukraine. Both sides are saying that Nazis are fucking shit. Putin's being a Nazi, but he's saying he's going into Ukraine to denazify Ukraine. While I can't stand the invasion, we do need to denazify this nation. This nation needs to be denazified, deconfederized, decriminalized, KKK-fied, denazified. I mean, I like freedom and all, but maybe we should just allow some different group to say racist shit. But those groups, they're criminal fucks. They're terrorist fucks. They're going around goddamn terrorizing people, and then everybody's letting them do it, and then we're going to see... That's this same gangland shit. So, yeah, welcome to my world, huh? And then, so, basically, it's like, does the DA feel like they have to obey the judges? What the DA has to obey is their own conscience, and they have to obey the truth, and they have to obey justice. They got to obey God. They don't have to obey, they got to play whatever rules or whatever, but ultimately, here, let's test the DA out. There is some criminals that's breaking into, I had like a picture on my phone, but there's some criminals that have broken into Antonito. Let's see if we get the cops to arrest those fucking people. To me, it looks like it's a gang, and it actually doesn't look white supremacist. It looks like the guy was wearing like a nice nice stylish camo jacket. So if he's wearing a nice stylish camo jacket, that don't sound Nazi to me. That sounds like something else. Sounds like there's talk of lots of different gangs around here, but possible MS-13, possible Bloods, possible Crips, possible Cineola, possible Three Kings. And then there is also some local gang that they had mentioned in Monte Vista. Andre Psycho Barrows was a part of that local gang in Monte Vista. So I forget what the name of that local gang is. But the proof is in the pudding. The cop can arrest Anne Frank, and then the DA can go ahead and, be a real big old dick to Anne Frank. But does the system arrest the hardened criminals? Does the system arrest people that fucking dress up in criminal fucking shit and run into fucking businesses and do crimes? Does the system stop those guys? Because if the system doesn't stop those guys, Deputy Keith Schultz told me if you can't beat them, join them. If you can't beat them, join them. And I like being a nice, kind sweetheart. I like being a good American citizen. I like being lawful. I like my republic. I don't like piece of shit criminal motherfuckers going around committing fucking crimes. So who's in charge around in Antonito? Are there any police in Antonito? Do we have, that's Conejos County, so that's the county cops, that's the city cops. You got a city council. You have a mayor and a city council in Antonito. Do we have police, or who's all getting money in the town of Antonito? You got a bunch of pot shops over there. Are they tied into it somehow? So if the DA, if this whole system, if all this bullshit fucking works, then that piece of shit that robbed several fucking businesses, they're going to ask a question, ask another question, they're going to canvass, they're going to stake out, they're going to sting. They're going to find out who the fuck it is, and they're going to arrest that guy. And then they're going to put him through the same 10-step process. I fired 3 warning shots. Maybe, you all like criminals breaking into people's buildings and shit. Maybe people should fire a warning shot or 2 to keep that criminal at bay. Apparently there's like 3 or 4 businesses. So he wasn't afraid of 1 business, 2 business, 3. He's not afraid of the mayor, of the city council. He's not even afraid of whatever police. That guy pulled me over for a speeding ticket, Campos. So they got a cop in Antonito. Where is he at? And are they in cahoots? Are they part of the gang too? Because gangs, you can either be antagonistic to the powers that be, or you could try to win them over. You could bribe them. So if Ann Kelly is going to have any effect whatsoever, the rubber needs, you got to test your theory where the rubber meets the road. You can play your little games. The cop grabs some body and then puts him in jail, and then you play, your little court games. But if it's not helping the street get better, people don't respect the police or the DA on the street. They're just respecting the drug dealers. Then you lost. All this was for nothing. All the elections, all the Constitution, all of it. You just let some piece of shit who just wants to terrorize people, and he's good at it, you let that piece of shit win. So I hope we catch that fucking guy that broke into the fucking businesses. Looked like he had a pretty big build. Seemed like he was short and stocky. On November 16th, 2022, a motion to recuse was filed in the above captioned case pursuant to CRS 16-6201. This is a lot of work. This is a lot of work to try to bury Anne Frank. No, Anne Frank. No, Anne Frank. You don't get to. No, you don't get to exist, Anne Frank. Get into the damn concentration camp, Anne Frank. Yep. You endured crime after crime after crime, and we don't give a damn. They don't care about victims' rights. We're not learning anything. We're still ignoring the victims. How much longer do you think you can ignore the victims? You think the people that criminalize me aren't going to eventually criminalize you? Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. And the crimes that I'm pointing out is on fucking videotape. That can't convince you. You're too smart for a person who has videotape too. Fucking fuck. It's just that the damn system keeps on making it being impossible to be a good American citizen. Left to my own devices, when I had safety, I would work 50 hours a week. Went to, college. So going to school, go to work. Come back, know that everything's there. You know how important that is? Do you know how goddamn important that is? Why should I work 50 to 60 hours a week to come back and just see that you stole all my assets? And then get robbed on the way back. So now you're taking my income, you're taking my assets. That makes no damn sense at all. Need a home, need a house, need to be able to save my money and save what I earn. If not, then you're just going to have a criminal nation. You're just going to watch the nation break down. Like Deputy Keith Schultz says, if you can't beat them, join them. When I went to jail, because I fired 3 warning shots straight up in the air, this guy was driving around acting stupid. There's a guy in there that was like, you don't seem like you belong in here. And it's like, you fucking recognize that. You recognize that. Is that where I'm going to have to find my people? You're not impressed with me buying my permits. You're not impressed with me paying for my insurance. You're not impressed with a whole bunch of stuff. Me not being a racist. You're not impressed with any of that. I guess when a goddamn predator wants to devour a prey, that's just how it goes, huh? So I feel sad if I do go to jail for 3 years. The maximum for class 5 felony, which is the lower felony, is 3 years in jail, $100,000 fine, 1 year minimum. So I'll do my time. I like who I am, and I think that going to jail for 3 years in some hardened prison where there's a bunch of fuckers that, do crimes over and over again, that's going to change me. It's going to change me. I've been getting raped for 41 years, and you think the solution is to rape me some more. That's not the fucking solution. Maybe listen to what I'm saying. I was lawful, I was kind, I was polite. You're going to let goddamn Danny Sanchez is going to let Robert Pickerel just keep on fucking committing crime after crime after crime. And let's say I stand up and I tell Pickerel, not to do it anymore. But then he lies about it and says that it was something like this and something like that and what the fuck else ever. We're just gonna let John Masters get fucking harassed by some fucking douchebag, some anti-planning and zoning right-wing sovereign fucking felon, fucking devil-worshipping douchebag? You couldn't tell who was in the right and who was in the wrong in that situation. The fog was too thick, huh? The smoke was too thick. You couldn't see the forest through the trees. And then she kind of summarizes, but she doesn't really put most of my points. So I did put a motion to recuse, and I hope you read it and just listened to it. But you're going to see that come back 2 more times in a different form. The defendant asserts that Chief Judge Michael Gonzalez was rude and patronizing by denying him a preliminary hearing. Right, I didn't get a preliminary hearing. But did DeLotta get a preliminary hearing? Did he win something at that preliminary hearing? The defendant states that Chief Judge Gonzalez is trying to fatigue me into a plea bargain. He has. That's been the main thing. But he also seemed excited for a moment that we were working on a jury trial. The defendant seemed to claim that Judge Gonzalez was being revengeful on behalf of his clerk. He was, by denying. The defendant states Chief Judge Gonzalez was being prejudicial by using the word victim and referring to the alleged victim, Kelly Canty. I mean, I turned in 5 felony complaints and said, here's 5 victims. You think Patrice gave a shit? You think Ann Kelly gave a shit? You think Gonzalez or the cops or any of these assholes gave a shit about enforcing victims' rights? They don't care about victims' rights. They don't give a shit about victims' rights. They never did. Which one of y'all told me about victims' rights? Just any one of y'all in the any police that I talked to, clerks, judges, none of you. None of you. I called the police before September 17, 2021. Just interesting that all someone had to do to get me arrested was just make a complaint, and that was it. He just called, made a complaint, I got arrested. I made a complaint. I fucking took pictures, took a video camera, filed this, filed that, talked to that person, talked to this person. Everybody's a bastard. Everybody's on the side of the right-wing sovereign movement out there. Don't give a fuck about my victims' rights. Why don't y'all just admit you don't give a shit about men? Some men have been able to get badges. Those are the only men that matter. The rest of the men aren't even allowed to stand up for themselves. Why don't you admit? Come on, you fascist fucks. While I'm even, as a defendant, I'm still calling for law and order. I'm still calling for law and order, and I'm going to continue to call for law and order. I'm going to be a good American citizen. I'm committed to nonviolence. So I'll see this court through. I'll see this court thing through. And if they say 3 years, $100,000, a jury of my peers, then that's $100,000 in 3 years I'm going to have to go serve. I mean, I did fire 3 warning shots. David DeLotta's alleged victim He's no more. So I guess I should have been more like DeLotta. Because DeLotta gets to walk free. It happened just May. He's walking free. My thing happened 1.5 years ago. It's almost like they like fucking with me too. I'm making them better. I made that public pretender better. You like reading my writings? At the trial, I'm going to ask a bunch of them if they ever said a kind word to me. Jordan Peterson says that people are getting hurt for the lack of a kind word. And then if they can't even say a kind word to you, I'm supposed to pretend that you're going to protect and serve. I'm supposed to pretend that you carrying around a gun and having a license to kill is good for me. Bullshit. The only way that's good for me is that maybe there might be a goddamn investigation if some fucking bullshit goes down. That doesn't give me much peace of mind. That doesn't give me much reassurance at all. Reassurance. The word for 2023 is reassurance. The school of life teaches us that we all can be really mean and nasty and terrible to each other. So we have to reassure one another that we're not going to be as terrible as we possibly can be. Saying kind words is a way to show people that you're not a terrible person. Be mannerly, say a kind word, and if you're not able to do any of those things, just stay away. But yeah, if I go, okay, so person A is the victim and person B is the criminal, okay, DA? Okay, person A is the victim and person B... No, it's the opposite, the way I just said it. Oh, okay, boss, whatever you say, boss. And then sit there and pretend like they're fair people. They're not fair people. They don't believe in fairness. They don't believe in due process. What's good for the goose is not what's good for the gander. DeLotta gets to walk free. There's motherfuckers that was fucking with me online, fucking with me around my house. Is it something to do with the fucking DeLotta case, trying to tie me into that fucking bullshit? I don't know who the hell those people are. And, they flagged me down right at the end and I said, congratulated the mother. So, yet once again. And then that motherfucker with the fucking suit, he comes out looking at me like a fucking prick. What do you look at me like an asshole for? I remember that fucking prick when I tried to get some, clerk stuff done. He was sitting there flirting with one of the clerks, so I wasn't able to get, my fucking filings done. Oh, we're not here to do court stuff. We're here to fucking... He was trying to get some ass, I think. He was trying to hit on one of the clerks, which is all good and fine, but when you're preventing me and preventing court, good due process, there's another woman. I was actually real sad with... Omega McCullough's wife was crying and saying that she didn't feel like it was a fair sentence. But they're just covering their asses up and they're like, well, we did enough for the victim. We didn't do enough, but we did enough. We're going to go ahead and exonerate ourselves. So they don't even give a shit about victims' rights. I've already turned in 5 felony complaints. It's somewhere. Who knows what they're doing with it. But she made one phone call because I had asked her to. At the end of all this, what I would like for the system to do is to actually give a shit about the people on, in the street, in the neighborhoods. When Antonito is being robbed, who gives a shit if, Miss Ann Kelly gets to play district attorney in the courtroom when in the streets she's got no power. Nobody's speaking of her name. Nobody's saying we got to read the laws. We got no reverence for the laws, no reverence for the system or any of it. Because let's assume the crime is bigger than the cops. You're going to need the people on your side. You're going to have to win hearts and minds. I saw the sheriff just patrolling here the other day. I like that. Keep patrolling. You could drive by my house all day long. In Louisville, there's, a million people there, and you only got so many cops, but you can make a presence. You could sit there and be on the main parts of the street, be on every corner. And by making a presence, if something happens, you're right there. People can, if you hear a gunshot, if you hear a thing, you're going to go investigate. That's the deal. And you get all the perks. That's why you get the power. Because you're going to go, you hear something go bump in the night, I'm paying you to go check it out. And if you want me to go check it out, I don't mind, but I don't have the same authority. If I risk myself and something happens, I like to know that I got police protection and that I'm allowed to defend myself. You need to win the people over. You're going to let the damn drug dealers and the gangbangers fucking win over? You see Andrew Tate. You see that young men are disaffected. Are you winning young men over? Okay. You don't want them to be your lover. They deserve humanity, do they not?